What's up, guys? I'm back today with another video, and today we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, some of the best plugins for Cinema 4D. This is a video I've talked about doing for a while and just haven't got around to doing it, but anyways, here it is. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the plugins that I have right now. I've got Nitroblast, RealFlow, Throwsy, Turbulence, FD, X Particles Light, Drop to Floor, Ivy Grower, Magic Snow, Reaper X, Transform, and Uber Tracer. Those are just some of the plugins that I use the most frequently. So we won't cover every single one of these, but we'll cover a few of them. We'll go ahead and start with, I guess we can do Throwsy. Throwsy is a little bit more simple to use, and Nitroblast is pretty much Throwsy on steroids. You have a lot more options and stuff, so that's basically all Nitroblast is. It's pretty much the same thing, but like I said, there's a little bit more you can do with Nitroblast and several more options. But anyways, I've used Throwsy in a lot of my videos, but in case you haven't seen any of those videos, I'll go ahead and show you and demonstrate Throwsy for you real quick. So what we're going to do is just drop in a cube, go to Plugins, go to Throwsy, and it'll bring up this box, and we'll just shatter this into like 80 pieces, for example. We'll go over to the dynamic tab and change this to on collision and hit break now. And what Throwsy does is it goes in and breaks up your designated object into the desired amount of pieces that you specified. So it just broke this cube up into 80 separate pieces. If we go ahead and give this a quick render preview, you'll see that it doesn't look any different. What's cool about this is we can click on an individual piece, go back to the Throwsy plugin, and break this up into additional pieces and hit break now. Alright, so that piece is broken up additionally compared to all the rest. Then what we can do is take another object, say a sphere for example, and what we'll do is let's go ahead and right click on the sphere, go to simulation tags, go to rigid body, and guys, right now I'm just kind of demonstrating what this plugin does and how it works in case you don't already know. If not, if you already know how this works, go ahead and skip ahead in the video. Anyways, we'll go ahead and add some dynamics to the sphere and make it collide with the cube that we have in our scene. So if we have it collide, you can see that the cube now falls now in shatters. Now what I do want to talk about real quick is another plugin. It's called Drop to Floor. So if we go to plugins and just hit drop to floor, it's kind of handy because if we select a particular object, once we hit the drop to floor plugin, it automatically aligns it onto the floor. So 1 second here while I adjust my microphone. About fell over. Alright, so we'll do the same thing with this cube. Go to plugins, drop to floor, and it aligns it perfectly with the floor. So if we go ahead and hit play, and actually we need to apply a simulation tag onto the floor. If we go ahead and hit play, you can see the sphere rolls into it and then the cube shatters. So that right there is Throwsy. So I'll go ahead and get rid of all that stuff. Okay, so let's talk about now. Well, I guess we can talk about Magic Snow. Okay, Magic Snow is a pretty neat little plugin. It basically does what it says it does. Magic Snow, it generates snow. So if we take an object here, like a cube, if we go ahead and press play, you can see that it's generating, that'd be the snowflakes basically. Well, what we can do is we can actually have this snow accumulate on our designated object, in this case the cube. So if we click on Magic Snow and drag the object under the collision object tab, and I'll just check this on for the heck of it, over time this snow, you can see the snowflakes are actually accumulating on the cube, and it may take a while depending on how much snow you're using and whatnot, but when you're done, you'll notice if we just start over, the snow disappears. Well, if you didn't want that to happen, what you could do is we'll let it simulate for a minute. Okay, and then we'll just hit keep the snow, and it generates the mesh, and then you can go ahead and refresh it, but the snow will stay on the object. Just be sure not to move the object away from the snow, or else it won't look right if you move the object any. But what we can do is in the specific options that we can do, or we have available to us, is like the wind, the speed of the snow, the birth rate. So if I change the birth rate to like 90, we're going to get a lot more snow falling at one time. And what's cool about this is the more snow you have, that you can tell actually the quicker it will accumulate, just like it would in real life. So there's more snowflakes and there's more volume to the snow, and it's accumulating a lot faster. Now keep in mind, the higher you up this, the slower it may take to simulate. As you can tell, my system's kind of choking on a little bit. But if we go ahead and pause this and do a quick render preview, you can see that the snow is actually accumulating on top of the cube. And once again, we can hit keep the snow, and we'll get rid of this mesh because we don't need it anymore. And we can refresh it, and we still have our snow there on our cube. And if we go ahead and add some wind to this, let's see, do about 30. Let's bring the speed up to about 120 so it falls faster. This will accumulate a lot faster. Alright, so you can see it should still be accumulating on top of what's already fallen, which is really cool. And I won't spend too much time on this, but that pretty much is just used to generate snow and whatnot, which is pretty cool. I happened to come across that plugin a while back. I don't remember how, but anyways, there it is. Alright, so another cool plugin I'm going to talk about in this video is called Reaper X. Reaper X is basically generates splines. So if we go up to the spline tool, and let's just use a helix for this example. We'll change this from XY to XZ so that it's flat. And let's bring the start radius down to about 15 and the end radius to about 15. Okay, and then we'll adjust the height, and let's see here, we want to adjust the end angle. Excuse me, we'll bring that up, and gives ourselves some more coils to work with. And then what we'll do is go to plugins, go to Reaper X, and then we'll just drag and drop the helix as a child of Reaper X, and you can see, bam, we automatically have what kind of a rope looking object generated with the spline. So when we click on the Reaper X plugin, we have additional options that we can adjust and modify, such as the coil strands and whatnot. So you see, if I bring the coils down, it doesn't look near as detailed. If I bring them up, the amount of strands, this will give you kind of a rope like appearance, which is pretty cool. The radius obviously is the size of the coil, so if I bring it way down to say like 1 centimeter, we get a very interesting look there. Once again, I won't spend a whole lot of time in this, but you know, you can even animate this, which is really cool. So you can tell if I were to go back to frame 1, command left click on the stretch, and we'll move ahead 100 frames just for example, and then stretch this all the way up to 100%, keyframe that, play it from the beginning. You can see we got a cool little effect going on there, which is pretty sweet if you ask me. We can also, under Reaper Effects, if we go into the Strands tab, we have the ability to control start and end growth, which could also be pretty cool. So let's wonder if it'd be cool if we kind of did this in reverse. So let me go to frame 100. We'll command or control left click and keyframe the end growth at 100%. Go back to the first frame and bring that down to like maybe 40%, maybe 55%. Try 65%. All right, that's good. And we'll command left click on the end growth. Let's play this and see what we get. All right, so very interesting effect there. It's actually pretty cool. I actually like that a lot. That's pretty cool. Anyways, rotation, scaling, this will make your actual ropes bigger, or your little strands, your coils, or whatever you want to call them. You know, pretty much a lot of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. You just gotta play around with the values and see what you like the best. Once again, if you increase the strands, you get a kind of a rope-like appearance, and then if you decrease them, obviously. But that right there is pretty cool. Anyways, that's Reaper Effects, or Reaper X. I keep calling it FX. It's Reaper X. And let's see, what else can we use? I would talk about RealFlow, but that's a little bit more complicated. And I've actually done a couple tutorials that talk about that. I've already done a tutorial about Ivy Grower, but I guess I'll go ahead and show you the guys that one. It's pretty simple to use. Let's just go to MoGraph, MoText. Let's generate some text. We'll call it plugins. Why not? And let's find a good looking font to use with this. All right. All right, this one should work. Let's increase the depth to about 50. All right, and basically when you use Ivy Grower, you're just going to select the plugin itself, and you're going to see this come up, and you're just going to want to click where you want to generate the ivy. So if I wanted to generate it on right here, I'm just going to double click, and you'll see a little red dot up here that's showing you where your ivy is going to start growing. And I've already got some preset settings here that I find that worked really good for me. These won't be there by default, but I like this, so you may have to play around with these values. It would take forever to really explain what each individual parameter does, but like I said, you just guys have to play around with it if you've never messed with this plugin. So basically what you do is you hit Grow Ivy, and you can see it generates a few splines. Now if I let's see, if we hit ungrow, it'll undo that, and I hit stop at 800. So if I increase this value, it'll take longer before it stops. So if I hit grow ivy, it grows quite a bit more, and if it's still growing more than you'd like, you can hit stop grow at any time. If we go ahead and press render preview, you'll notice we don't have anything yet. That's because we have to actually go to the birth tab and give birth to the ivy. Now I know that sounds funny, but that's just a term used to describe it. And if we go ahead and render preview, you can see that our ivy has been generated there, and it doesn't look that great right now. That's because we need some ambient occlusion and some lighting. So if I went ahead and dropped in a light to show you guys, look a lot better. So let's place it right there. This may take a second to render preview, but you can definitely see the effect. It looks pretty good in the end. So alright, so there you have it. That was the ivy we just generated with that plugin. It looks pretty convincing. Now there's some things you could do to touch it up and make it look better and whatnot, but with ambient occlusion and a light, you can already see the effect that you get just from using that plugin, which to do that by hand would take a lot more work. So it's a pretty cool plugin. You can use it for a lot of different things, and that's that. You can even duplicate the ivy once you've generated it. You can Command C, Command V, or Control C, Control V on it. Go up to the move tool, and you can actually move the same ivy, and then you have twice as much as you had before, as you can see there. So that's that. Just make sure you don't go overkill on that, because it will kind of lag your system quite a bit. But anyways, that's Ivy Grower. Alright, so next thing we're going to talk about is let's talk about Transform. So Transform is a plugin by Grayscale Gorilla, and what this does is allow you to pretty much transform objects into other objects. So it's pretty self-explanatory. So we may need to drop in a couple of this plugin. Let's see, and we'll drop in 2 of them, and then we'll go to cube. We'll have a cube transform into a sphere. So let's go ahead and go to this first transform, and change the reference object to this cube, and we're gonna have to hit refresh on here, and we'll just do, we may need to place this into a cloner object. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't played with this plugin in a while, so I may run into a couple problems, but anyways, transition, we may probably want this to be reverse if we want, actually we can have the sphere turn into the cube. And let's, right here under effect, this is where all your preset effects are. So you can just pick one of these and you'll get a different effect each time. So we'll just pick a random one like that. Okay, and then let's go into this transform and drop in the sphere. And we'll refresh that, and then let's go to swarm and then transition in reverse. So let's play this and see what we get. Alright, that was pretty interesting. Actually don't need this cube. We could just do this with the sphere itself. So if we go ahead and press play, you can see that the object is broken into all these separate pieces and comes together to form the sphere. So like if we tried ripcord, you'll get a different effect. You know, once again, there's a lot of different parameters to play around with here, and I actually remember now how to get an object to transform into another object. You'd have to go around and play with the movement here, the time remapping and start frame and end frame and all that stuff. It kind of gets a little complicated, so I won't cover that. But I just want to let you guys know it's a really cool plugin. You can also do this with text. So if you had text in here, you can do the same thing with text as well. So let's see. That's pretty much that plugin. It's pretty cool. If you go to advanced, you have additional options and stuff, and you can actually you can create your own little preset effects and stuff. So some of these are actually pretty cool. Let's try this one. It's pretty fast, so that's when you come down here and adjust some of these parameters, the time remapping and stuff. You can also adjust the rotation, so it rotates a lot more, and the movement, so it's more dramatic. So you can see, and it's actually even faster there. Let's adjust the time remapping here. See what that does for us. Alright, so you can see a weird effect there with the time remapping. So just by playing with that graph down there, you can get an interesting effect. But anyways, that's transform. I'll go ahead and get rid of that. And let's see, plugins. Like I said, transform isn't really one that I use a whole lot, so I'm not completely really accustomed to that plugin as much, but it's just something that you guys should get. I recommend it and play around with it. You can do some cool stuff with it. Alright, Real Flow, not going to cover that one. Turbulence FD allows you to simulate smoke and fire and all that stuff. And this plugin itself is it's pretty complicated when it comes down to it. I mean, for the most part, you drop in your container here, and you know, this can get pretty complicated. I would cover this. I may just make a whole separate tutorial on this, but you can simulate some really nice looking smoke, really realistic looking smoke, and you know, you can pretty much, you have full control over how it looks, the color of it, and everything. But like I said, this one would go pretty in depth and would really take a long time to talk about, so I may just make a whole separate tutorial on that particular plugin. If you guys would like that, let me know. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see a tutorial on that. Anyways, Uber Tracer. Now this is something that I really haven't played around with too much myself. I've only used it on a couple occasions. Not really going to talk about this one either, but once again, you guys can do some additional research on that one. It's a neat plugin. It just allows you to basically it's more of a spline kind of plugin. It allows you to generate splines and stuff like that. So let's see if there's anything else. X particles, that just generates particles and stuff. Just basically kind of like if you go to simulate particles and drag in an emitter in Cinema 4D, you know, that's basically what it does there. It's pretty much the same thing with just additional options. And pretty much that is all those. That's pretty much the majority of those plugins are what I use most often. Now there's a lot more plugins, and I'll probably get some more in the future, but I hope that gives you kind of a sense and an idea of how some of these plugins work, and kind of, you know, maybe shows you which plugins you would want to have or wouldn't want to have, which ones you like and don't like, whatever the case may be. I'll put a link in the description to each one of these plugins, and that should be it. I'm pretty sure all these were free. Turbulence FD is not free, but you can still get a free version. It just puts a little watermark over your render. So if I just drop that in there right now and hit render preview, you'll see that it says JAWSet Visual Computing. That'll be basically over your video. So you have all the features of the full version, you just have that watermark. But other than that, Drop the Floor, Ivy Grower, all these plugins were free, except for the three that aren't. X Particles Lite, that's a free version. There's a paid version where you get additional options. Nitroblast isn't free, and Turbulence FD isn't free. So those three, Nitroblast, X Particles, and Turbulence FD, technically not free. You can get free versions, but you kind of miss out without getting the paid version. But the rest of these are all free, and they're really cool. So anyways, enough of me rambling on. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this if you made it this far. If you have any additional comments, leave them down below. If you have any plugins that I didn't mention or talk about that you would suggest I get, go ahead and feel free to leave that in the comment section down below as well. I'm open to anything, and yeah, once again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.